In this podcast episode, Dr. Darshan Shah, a renowned longevity expert and former surgeon, shares a provocative yet enlightening perspective on the lifestyle factors that accelerate Alzheimer's disease and shorten lifespan. He begins by addressing a question rarely asked: what would it take to get Alzheimer's as quickly as possible? His answer is a 5-step program that surprisingly excludes genetics, emphasizing that even those with a family history have a high chance of prevention through lifestyle changes. Dr. Shah's 5 steps start early in life, highlighting the cumulative damage from repeated head trauma, especially in contact sports like American football or rugby. He stresses that it's not just concussions, but the repeated microtraumas that set the stage for dementia and other neurodegenerative diseases later in life. This early damage, combined with poor metabolic health, chronic inflammation, toxin exposure, and sustained stress, forms a perfect storm that accelerates brain aging and disease. His message is clear. Many people unknowingly follow this harmful path, but all these factors are modifiable. Dr. Shah underscores the critical role of head trauma beginning in childhood and adolescence. He explains that repeated impacts to the head, even without diagnosed concussions, cause cumulative brain injury that significantly raises the risk of dementia, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. This trauma is not limited to sports, but extends to activities like motorcycling and mountain biking, where falls and hits to the head are common. He also points out that the damage from these microtraumas accumulates over time, and the brain's remarkable resilience in youth can mask the early signs of injury. This resilience often lulls people into a false sense of security, only for symptoms to emerge decades later. Dr. Shah's emphasis on prevention through avoiding repeated head trauma is a call to rethink childhood and adult activities that expose the brain to unnecessary harm. Moving into adolescence and adulthood, Dr. Shah highlights poor metabolic health as a major contributor to Alzheimer's risk and overall longevity. He describes how diets high in ultra-processed foods and sugars disrupt metabolism, leading to insulin resistance and chronic diseases. The Western world's epidemic of metabolic dysfunction, affecting up to 80% of adults, is a key driver of dementia, heart disease, and cancer. Dr. Shah advocates for eliminating ultra-processed foods as the most impactful dietary change. He explains that these foods, often laden with chemicals, preservatives, and inflammatory agents, dominate supermarket shelves and contribute heavily to poor health outcomes. By cutting out these foods, people naturally gravitate toward whole, nutrient-dense options, improving metabolic health and reducing inflammation. His practical advice includes simplifying meals to a few ingredients and focusing on consistency rather than variety, which helps overcome decision fatigue and rewires taste preferences away from hyperpalatable processed foods. Inflammation emerges as the third pillar in Dr. Shah's framework. He explains that chronic inflammation results from poor gut and oral health, sedentary lifestyles, and ongoing exposure to toxins. Since 90% of the immune system resides in the gut, a compromised gut lining due to toxins and processed foods keeps the immune system in a state of overdrive, damaging healthy tissues and accelerating disease processes. Oral health is often overlooked, but is equally important. Dr. Shah points out the strong associations between gum disease and systemic illnesses, including Alzheimer's, heart disease, and cancer. Neglecting dental care leads to chronic oral inflammation, which feeds systemic inflammation. He recommends regular dental visits and good oral hygiene as essential components of disease prevention. Together, gut and oral health form a critical interface where lifestyle choices directly influence systemic inflammation and longevity. The fourth step in Dr. Shah's Alzheimer's risk model is the pervasive exposure to environmental toxins. He highlights that modern society is saturated with over 150,000 man-made chemicals introduced in the last 60 to 70 years, many of which accumulate in our bodies. These toxins come from air pollution, contaminated water, food packaging, and personal care products, often unnoticed and unregulated. Dr. Shah stresses the importance of awareness and proactive detoxification strategies. He shares his own experience with testing for bisphenol A, BPA, a common plasticizer, which motivated him to eliminate plastic cups and bottles from his routine. Emerging research shows microplastics and chemical toxins accumulating in blood vessels and organs, contributing to inflammation, hormone disruption, and increased risk of chronic diseases, including Alzheimer's. His advice is to reduce plastic use, avoid heating food in plastic containers, and choose natural alternatives to minimize toxin burden. The final step in the five-step plan is chronic stress and its impact on hormonal balance. Dr. Shah explains how sustained stress elevates cortisol levels, disrupts hormone production, and accelerates aging processes. Hormones like testosterone in men and estrogen and progesterone in women act as trophic factors that maintain brain and body health, but their levels decline prematurely due to lifestyle factors and stress. He emphasizes that hormonal decline is not inevitable and can be mitigated by managing stress, improving sleep, and optimizing nutrition and movement. While hormone replacement therapy can be considered, Dr. Shah advocates first addressing root causes such as stress reduction and lifestyle improvements. This holistic approach helps preserve cognitive function and overall vitality, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's and other chronic diseases. A significant portion of the discussion focuses on sedentary behavior as a major driver of inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Dr. Shah clarifies that prolonged sitting beyond 4 hours daily increases mortality risk by 15% per hour. Importantly, exercising for an hour after a sedentary day does not negate the harmful effects of sitting. He introduces the concept of exercise snacks, brief bouts of movement every 45 minutes, which research shows can counteract sedentary damage. Simple activities like walking, air squats, or light weightlifting for a few minutes can reset the body's metabolism and reduce inflammation. Dr. Shah also champions walking as a fundamental human movement with multiple benefits, including improved cardiovascular health, nervous system balance, and even relief from constipation. He shares personal anecdotes about walking 90 minutes daily and using weighted backpacks to maintain strength and balance with aging. Throughout the conversation, Dr. Shah and the host emphasize the Pareto principle, or 80-20 rule, as a guiding framework for health improvement. They argue that 20% of lifestyle changes produce 80% of the health benefits, and focusing on these high-impact behaviors is more effective than chasing every new trend or supplement. This principle applies to diet, movement, stress management, and toxin reduction. For example, eliminating ultra-processed foods and incorporating regular movement are simple yet powerful changes that can transform health. Dr. Shah cautions against paralysis by analysis caused by conflicting information on social media and encourages people to prioritize foundational habits before exploring advanced biohacking techniques. Dr. Shah is a strong advocate for individuals becoming the CEO of their own health by tracking key biomarkers and using technology to gain insight into their biology. He provides a free resource listing essential biomarkers such as hemoglobin A1C, liver enzymes, ALT, AST, high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP, apolipoprotein B, and hormone levels. Monitoring these markers regularly allows early detection of disease risk and motivates behavior change. He also supports the use of wearables like continuous glucose monitors, heart rate variability trackers, and blood pressure cuffs to provide real-time feedback. These tools help people understand how diet, stress, sleep, and activity affect their health daily. Dr. Shah acknowledges concerns about health anxiety, but encourages a balanced approach where data empowers rather than overwhelms. He likens health monitoring to maintaining a car, where regular checks prevent costly breakdowns. Dr. Shah shares his personal journey from a trauma and reconstructive surgeon to a functional medicine practitioner after facing severe chronic illness himself. Despite his extensive surgical training, he found Western medicine's siloed approach inadequate for managing his diabetes, hypertension, and autoimmune disease. The focus on symptom suppression with medications and lack of holistic care led him to explore root cause medicine. By applying functional medicine principles, addressing diet, movement, sleep, gut health, hormones, and toxins, he reversed his conditions within 8 months. This transformation inspired him to help patients achieve similar outcomes. Dr. Shah critiques the current healthcare system's emphasis on disease management rather than prevention and health creation, advocating for a more integrated, patient-centered model. While lifestyle remains the cornerstone of health, Dr. Shah acknowledges the role of targeted supplementation, especially when nutrient deficiencies exist or during periods of increased need. He recommends core supplements such as vitamin D3 with K2, omega-3 fatty acids, and creatine, which has strong evidence for cognitive and muscular benefits. He also highlights emerging supplements that support mitochondrial health, including urolithin A and nicotinamide riboside, which have shown promise in enhancing cellular energy and slowing aging processes. Dr. Shah cautions against indiscriminate supplement use and encourages blood testing to guide personalized supplementation. He views supplements as tools to complement, not replace, foundational lifestyle habits. Finally, Dr. Shah reflects on the future of healthcare, exemplified by his Next Health Clinic, which combines cutting-edge diagnostics and therapies with a welcoming, inspiring environment. He believes that creating a positive patient experience is essential to motivate people to engage in their health journey. He envisions a healthcare model where patients have full access to their data, collaborate with informed practitioners, and use technology to prevent disease rather than react to it. Dr. Shah's approach integrates advanced therapies like hyperbaric oxygen and plasmapheresis with practical lifestyle interventions, aiming to extend health span and quality of life.